season 3, episode 1 had a couple cool things in it.
Mhm.
Adam, what was one of the first things that stood out to you?
It felt like so many different things happening all at once, but I think it was the beginning scene where the young boy gets the Mandalorian armor. Initially, I thought that could be the past. Like it almost makes you think that Din himself is, putting on his helmet or something. But when I saw him, I'm like, it's obviously not him. But it kind of had me stumped for a moment. But something that stood out to me is right as they're about to put the helmet on and like you can never take it off, he like was supposed to like swear and promise. He never finished a sentence.
From this moment on, I shall never remove my helmet.
From this moment on, I shall never.
Because that's when Gator T-Rex Gator 3000 jumps out of the water. And I thought that was interesting because I'm like, that's very symbolic of Din. Like if it was Din, it would make a lot of sense because it's like he never completed the promise, but obviously he did, and he feels bad because we know that between him and the armor and their conversations. But I just love that scene to see all the other different Mandalorians, and you kind of get that callback of why it's so important and like the vow he takes, the covenant he's making to never take off his helmet.
Maybe all the rules don't apply when you're being attacked by Godzilla Croc 4000, if nature intends for a different way, this is the way. Like there's a new thing to try that can still keep your traditional values, but you need to be adaptable and agile enough to change, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So we get this really cool baptism, I guess. There's plenty of images of water throughout. When he goes to visit Bo-Katan later on, he's all wet, it's raining. There's one. Any deeper symbolism you could draw from that?
Well, an obvious symbol that it wasn't, in this episode, but it was in the preview or the recap of the previous seasons, was when the armorer talks to him in the Book of Boba Fett and talks about his unworthiness. And that's something to note. If you just like The Mandalorian and you kind of fell off the Book of Boba Fett boat, because there are people out there that critique the series, and that's okay. But is it the 5th episode of the Book of Boba Fett? Yeah, that one is absolutely mandatory.
I see what you did there.
Absolutely mandatory, because that if you don't watch that episode, you're not going to really understand this newest one that came out. But the part that stuck out to me was when she literally tells him to bathe in the waters, the living water, all caps, and the caption all caps, the living waters of Mandalore. And that's straight up baptism. Definitely goes with the Western culture of baptism and making covenants. And he talks about atoning for his sins, and he makes sure too in this one, he's like, when he talks to the armor again, he's like, by creed, if I do get baptized in the waters of Mandalore, by law or by this covenant, by their basis of the religion or their creed, I guess, he would be forgiven and he could be Mandalore once more. And so that was a very concrete symbol of baptism.
All the same, you see the armor like dousing the new Mandalorian helmet in water, like tempering it and all that. But all these things are saying like, hey, he's gonna do this, like he's going towards that. And I'm glad you mentioned the Western traditions. I wonder also, we have a surprise baby Yoda, right? The chosen, not the chosen, but the child that's kind of going along, and I'm like,
interesting.
A little on the head. I wonder if Mando is the Moses and Yoda would be the Christ. I don't know.
Because we know the Jedi, they're all about, like the samurai, or like those who meditate, like maybe Buddhists, or, those who they focus a lot on inner peace and prayer and peace. And so it's interesting to see the Mandalorian culture it's similar, but different, And so I think it's cool to see kind of reflections of the religions of our day in the religions of these characters in the Star Wars universe.
Definitely. I think, yeah, you're totally right. Let's see. We talked also a little bit about Din Djarin, the Mandalorian,
Mhm.
being Moses.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of thinking deeper on that one, but what have you seen? Is there any backing to that?
So I guess Moses, he he frees his people. And I guess I saw that in this episode when he blasts Swampy McSwamp monster with his Naboo star fighter, and he kind of just saves them. Um, and it's interesting because all the Mandalorians, I feel like they respect Din and they know that he was a foundling and like they protected him, but now he's kind of bringing back and he's protecting them. Um, and even though they don't quite understand him and they kind of are exiling him because he hasn't really repented, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the story of Moses because Moses's people didn't fully understand what he was trying to do and the new ways that he was bringing, to their culture. Like I just think it's interesting how all the Mandalorians are like, let's just go fight this beast, hand-to-hand combat, let's go. But then Din's like, no, just blow it up with a starship. It's like, why didn't any of them think of that? Like it was a spur of the moment deal, but still. So I think he's bringing newer ideas that are controversial to these people at the time, but they're starting to realize that these new ideas are really good. And that's what Moses does when he brings the 10 Commandments with God. They start worshiping the golden calves, and he's like, no, guys, like this is the way. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Any additional?
Make me cry, Adam. It's very nice. Yeah, no, really good thoughts. I didn't think of, yeah, Moses went and lived with Pharaoh. I would feel rejected as a people if somebody left our people and went and served with Pharaoh, and then it's like, well, freak, dude, like, how about us? Like, we're still enslaved. So maybe they're enslaved to their own traditions, and Din is going to free them from that by finding his own way back to Mandalore.
Yeah, I love how you say that because that's what he does. He goes with Bo-Katan, and to everyone, Bo-Katan's a traitor because she takes off her helmet, and a ton of the other Mandalorians he meets, and even the Jedi. He hangs out with Luke, he hangs out with Ahsoka, he hangs with a ton of people who the Mandalorians, their views, they probably wouldn't agree with. But he's learning things from them, but he's also trying to maintain his deeper morals and standards, but he's going to bring back a lot of knowledge and experience and new revelations, if you would, back to his people.
Yeah. Man, good. Very insightful. I think there's something to be said about him keeping hold of his traditions while he lets the rest of the Mandalorians go their own way, but maintain the creed, where it's almost like the respectful, like veiling your face so you can receive more revelation. It's like, oh, I don't know, man, that's pretty good.
Interesting.
Okay. We also know, the Darksaber, a symbol of authority for a leader, could be Moses' staff, which was, that's pretty easy. So I guess for me, I'm still looking for a burning bush moment. I got to go back and rewatch him. And you said he brought down fire on Godzilla 10,007, model 10,007, but maybe that was the tornado of fire. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool if the Pharaoh we're talking about would be Luke as a Jedi, and he becomes right hand to Luke, and then he takes Grogu, like the ring.
Yeah, that could be it.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, Mandalore's beat to crap. They got glassed. Did you see that somebody flipped over that piece of glass that Din Djarin brought back to Bo-Katan? Someone flipped it over and translated it.
Yeah?
Yeah, from Mandalore to English, and
what does it say?
It's a scripture from the Bible.
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
Yeah, it is. See, you want me to look it
Why
up real
would
quick?
they do that? That's crazy.
What would Bible scripture in Mandalorian?
That's gotta be a joke.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
It says, "This is the way. I am the way, the truth."
It is from the scripture about the plague of the locust, the 8th plague of Moses.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
There's Moses again.
that's what I think brought it up. Yeah. Let's see. All right, here's the full scriptures. It says, "And they shall cover the face of the earth, and they cannot be," was one of the words they translated, "able to see earth, and they shall," this was translated, "eat the residue, that of which is escaped, which," and this was translated, "which remaineth." I'll just do this when they translated it from what was in. Okay. Unto you from the hail, and they shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. And they shall fill thy house, and the house shall be full of servants of the house, and all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. So yeah, he's up there, and he's like, anyway.
That's crazy.
Yeah, thought that was pretty cool little nod.
Does that mean the Earth is canon in the Star Wars universe?
Or is the gospel true throughout the universe?
I can't believe they have that there. That's just crazy. I love it.
Could just be an Easter egg too. Yeah, so yeah, there's a whole thread on that, but that's kind of what brings up awesome. The Western culture plus the baptism, right? So you got scripture and baptism.
Obviously there's baptism. Like they talk about atoning for sins and like the living waters. Like that's it's obvious. It's crazy.
Pretty clear, yeah. So, cool. Very cool though.
All right.
Sorry, I wanted to get a couple nuggets and just see if I could blow your mind, but I don't know if it worked.
No, that's pretty awesome, dude. I had no idea there was a scripture written in there.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
We'll see what episode 2 holds, but I think that'll do it then. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed our reaction and our nerdy comments.
See ya.
Bye.